Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. What are you doing this week, folks? Need a break from your normal schedule, your normal reality? Then do a weekday getaway to the Topoco Lodge and Topoco Tavern. Terrific Monday through Thursday rates all year round. See for yourself why I love this place. I talk about it a lot. Topoco.com will give you an idea, but you got to see it for yourself. The Topoco Lodge. All right. This week I went over to Nashville and took in a Titans-Patriots practice, of course. And the Titans, who've really upgraded their facilities in recent years, is pretty impressive. They've now put in bleachers for the fans on the side. Now, I had a media pass, but fans are able to sit on the sides, watch whatever they want. Myself, Mike Keith, we're able to walk around wherever we want to go. Let's go to this practice field and watch them do this. We'll go over here and watch them work on this. And it dawned on me, this is a cutthroat NFL. Wide open. Now, not all of their practices. As a matter of fact, that's the last one, I think, for both teams that were going to be open. But if the NFL can have open practices that allow fans to get an idea, and before you start saying, this is just media crying because you can't get in, media is your conduit to your team. It is your team, your hobby. I would want more information about my hobby, so the idea that somebody gets in there and to see it makes sense. I just don't understand, and it's not just Tennessee. Pruitt gets this from other coaches. Obviously, Saban runs it. But you go back in time, Pete Carroll had open practices when he was dominating college football. It didn't undercut him. I just don't understand what a team gets out of the silent treatment, the secretive nature of things. If you're telling me Tennessee would have been worse the last 10 years by opening their practice, I'm telling you bull. I'm not buying that. So is there something to gain here, or is this secretive stuff just nonsense?
I think it's mostly paranoia, but it's like, as you said, it's sort of peer pressure. One starts it and everyone else says that's a good idea, let's do the same thing. I mean, Mike, you remember, all these guys remember, it was not too long ago, scrimmages used to be open to media. Yep. You would get full stats from them. I mean,
fans could get in. They would do a scrimmage each year where fans could get in.
Yeah.
Slowly.
And it's not a big deal. I mean, coaches are always going to be conscious of what they're showing in that setting anyway, but in this way they don't have to be as protective about what they're doing during practice, what they're showing and not showing, but still, I think there's little to be gained, but if there's any slight competitive edge, coaches are going to do it.
Right. I mean, when we were over there, for example, when I'm over there, Titans, Patriots, Mike Vrabel wasn't running some bizarro Wildcat package and giving away state secrets on the open practice field.
Right.
Fine.
Exactly.
But they're able to practice, and everybody could sit there and go, okay, this team may not be where I think it is this year. I just think that's better than I don't think it helped Philip Fulmer in 2005, and he went the other way. I mean, it was more open, and he closed it down the longer he was over there. 2005, everyone thought Tennessee, they were predicted for number 3 in the country, and everybody thought they were going to be great, and they stunk. They were 5-6, lost to Vandy for the first time in a generation, and later that year, some of the officials who had worked the practices in the summer came out and said, oh, yeah, they stunk in the summer too. Fans still would have been mad, but I think they would have been prepared better if they had an idea.
Well, don't you think a lot of this goes back to like social media as well, and something that can get out almost instantaneous from the practice field? Coaches are control freaks. They can't control this. But look at attendance continues to go down. We've talked about Jeremy Pruitt's first orange and white game. We're going to fill the stands. Well, you've buttoned everything up so much, there wasn't stuff getting out. There wasn't the human side of this. I think it needs to be more open. If somebody violates one of the reporting, the formation, injury, whatever it is, they're no longer back at practice.
Exactly.
Well,
it's simple.
Tied to that, I think it's a great point because, last year Pruitt didn't make a lot of assistants available. Obviously you didn't see a lot of practice. When you don't give fans those nuggets of information for things that they love, it's hard to really drum up that excitement. Plus, I think what coaches do is they are afraid of managing young people's feelings and their reactions to things. So this guy is second team on the depth chart. In college, they're afraid of having to manage that as opposed to professionals who are adults and should be able to handle it.
That's a good point.
And then Mullen, I think it was last year, Mullen knew, or I guess he expected that they weren't going to be that good. So he opened some practices like, here, find out for yourself. Yeah. and then it saves you from the unrealistic expectations that happen sometimes.
Is that Mike?
Well, for more than the first half of my career at the News Sentinel, every football practice was open, the entire practice, and the Vols did pretty good in those days.
Yeah.
Then it went the other way, and by this point, I got my mind right. They beat me down. I'm surprised the NFL is so open.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I would even go so far as to say, if you don't trust every reporter out there, and the line has been blurred as well, because now, Shecky.com, he's just a fan.
Shecky, yeah, you got to watch Shecky.
I was a fan with a media pass over there at the Titans Patriots. I wasn't exactly writing down notes. But I got in there, but I also didn't post anything. There are idiots who would. So how do you trust? How do you get around that and give your fans a little bit more access, temper expectations, if you will? How about a pool reporter? That's simple.
Right.
Let the media pick. This week, our media guy is X, or you send two in, so you get two sets of eyes. And if one of those guys violates some sacred rule, he never gets back in, as Chuck said.
Yeah.
If you're losing fans, then one way to interest fans is to give them more information, in my view.
And there's nothing that reporters, media members are going to see or put out there about practice that the opponent can't find out with those trained eyes of other coaches. So it really
Exactly.
doesn't matter.
The first time you show it on tape, the whole world knows it. So, well, at any rate, I think it's interesting just how secretive it is, because, Butch Jones last year would have been much worse than 4-8 if they'd opened up more practices in the summer.
Boy, how did calisthenics go today, guys?
Well, and that's the other thing. You got 50 poor people over there, everybody with their own cell phone, trying to take pictures of calisthenics.
Yeah.
Because you get, 8 minutes or 9 minutes to open up?
After stretching now, under Butch Jones, part of the period was stretching. Now it's post-stretching. So at least
Okay. I'm not over there.
wide open.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about recruiting. And we get Ryan to give you an update on the big commitment Tennessee got this week. I'm going to ask Vince, what about these recruiting rankings that aren't moving very much? We'll discuss. Come on back.